So so yeah, I saved $15,000. And then I actually started a GoFundMe page, which was an idea that somebody gave me.
Ah,
So I did that, and I only had it up for 2 months. I raised $5,000 with that.
that's a huge
So
accomplishment.
I
That's
know it is.
crazy. And we are back with another episode of Zenpath Radio. I am your host, Ryan Son, and I'm sitting down with CJ, owner of Pitman Cargo Express. In today's episode, we're going to be going over the Sprinter van cargo industry. So if you guys are interested in that kind of business and interested in getting started, started running your own, you definitely want to check out this interview to this entirety because CJ is going to be breaking it down from revenue to how he got started to how he's gonna grow his business and a lot more. So we're gonna keep this introduction a little short and we're gonna dive right into the interview. So CJ, welcome to Zenpath Radio. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so tell everybody where are you located?
So I'm out of San Antonio, Texas.
Okay, and you've been in the cargo sprinter van for not too long. So you recently started. When did you start your business?
So I started my business on January 7th. That's when I got my LLC.
Mm-hmm.
And I purchased my van in December of 2022. So right before January. And so about 6 months.
Okay, and then how did you get into this industry? Was it just randomly came across your mind, and you're like, I'm gonna just go to the van and just get rolling, or?
Yeah, so basically, I actually started the delivery service about 2 years ago.
Okay.
My first job was with American Freight, also known as Sears. So I delivered refrigerators and stoves and all that stuff. So that's when the passion started. So I did that job for probably about 4 months, and then I moved on to a company called Sleep Number. I think most people are familiar with that, the expensive beds that move up and down. So I worked with them for about 2 years driving a box truck. And that's when I really started falling in love with the trucking industry, delivery service. It's nothing like it, being out on the road and not having to be stuck in the office. And, I just love it. So that's kind
Absolutely.
of where it started. Yeah.
So you had this, you were in the industry, you were working in the industry before you actually decided, I'm gonna start my own venture and just dive in head first. You kind of got that knowledge firsthand first, working under under others. I can't even talk today. Working working under others, getting that
Yeah.
firsthand knowledge, and then
Yeah.
that's when you decided, I have enough knowledge and I'm gonna go out on my own to start my own venture. Is that how that kind of worked?
Very much so. So yeah, basically to be honest with you, I didn't know much about like cargo vans and all that stuff. I actually was thinking about big rigs first. So I was like, man, I want to get a Class A license and make that big money. So that's what really got me like on YouTube and started watching videos. And then I came across a cargo van video and that just changed the game for me. So
Yeah, because
yeah.
one thing that I've seen it's a whole network on the YouTube space because that's how I found
Yep.
you. Found you on the YouTube space,
Yeah.
and under I forgot the guy's name, but under someone's video they had shout out to Big CJ. You know what I mean? And I was like, they have a network, here. They're kind of shouting each other out. They're supporting each other, and that's what I really
Yeah.
loved about the industry. Like
Yeah.
you guys are supporting each other, and then you guys are just going for it. So I know we kind of like just kind of summarize, how you got started. And all the time I feel like it's never as smooth sailing as, we think it's gonna be, So for all the entrepreneurs that's thinking about getting into the space, for in your situation, how long did it take you from idea to getting your first gig in this kind of business?
Um, Probably about a year. So
Mm.
I'm a planner. Like I plan everything out. So that's one thing. That's probably like the biggest lesson that's the biggest lesson that I could tell someone or teach someone that's trying to get in this business. You have to plan it out. Like you cannot just buy a cargo van and think you're about to just make a bunch of money. So I just kind of want to give a little, I'm sorry, I'm going to talk a little bit, but just want to give a little backstory to how much I plan. So just to kind of give context to what I'm doing here. So basically, when I was 19, I was going to school full time. I was living with my parents at the time to save money. I was going to school full time in college, and I went to my parents. I said, I'm about to join the Army and I leave in a month. So, of course it shocked them. They're like, what? Like, what are you, like, you joining the Army? And this was like 2001. So this is right during the Iraq War time. So I surprised them with it, but what they didn't know is I was thinking about this for years, like at least 2 or 3 years. And so a lot of people that's getting into this business, they're thinking about now. Like they just want to make money right now. When I joined the military, I was, it wasn't a good time. It's very difficult, the basic training and getting shipped away from home and all the struggles of it. I went to war, all that stuff. But I was not thinking about the now. I was thinking about how can this decision that I'm making benefit me 15, 20 years from now. So that's the way how much I plan. So obviously, it paid off for me because, I bought my first house, my VA loan, no money down. I went to college for free, got my bachelor's degree for free. I was making $800 a month. They were giving me, money for school and books and all that stuff. I was pocketing $800 a month. I get free Medicare. I get I get money every month, financially benefits. So basically, everything that I thought about when I joined, it paid off, because I was thinking about the future. So I approached this cargo van business the exact same way. So right now, it's not pleasing because I'm not making the money that, people think I should be making, but I'm thinking about how is this going to benefit me 15, 20 years from now. And so that's how I think. So the only reason I bring that up is because a lot of people on my channel, they're like, man, this guy's, he should work longer. He should make more money. He should do this. But it's like, when you're trying to build a business, obviously, you're not going to be, you're not going to see your profits right away. And I'm not doing my YouTube channel to show, to impress people with my earnings. I'm showing them this is what I'm doing step by step every day. And hopefully, however long it is, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you're going to see a whole fleet of Pitman Cargo Express vans, and they were able to witness it and see it, what I did and how my planning is. That's really the whole point of my channel.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
It's like you're thinking very strategically, rather than just throwing things at the wall, right? And
exactly.
I think that's definitely a way to like a great way to look at things, because I think when you get to that level of that higher level, you have solid pillars, below you. I don't know. I feel like maybe that's a weird analogy, but I feel like you would have a solid foundation.
Exactly.
Because
that's
you have that baseline knowledge, before you got to where you are, in the future. Do you understand?
Yep, absolutely. That's it right there.
Yeah. So I love everything you're doing. So it took you a year. So how were you able to, kind of, were you working at the time? How were you able to, like survive and then start up this business? Like, where did the money come in? Because I know like this must be, getting a van is probably not a cheap, expense. And a lot of people just don't have, $15,000 just sitting in the bank, right?
Yeah.
So, how did you start? Where did you get the money from? How did you start? That's what, yeah.
Yeah,
Give us the tea.
yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because that's probably one of the biggest questions I get or critiques that I get. So, while I was at Sleep Number, during that year that I was looking at this business, I was watching YouTube videos. I probably watch about, probably like 40 videos a day. Like I'm
binge
just
watching.
like, just straight up. And I watch everyone. I watch people that failed. I watch people that love it. I watch people that go OTR, over the road, long distance, short distance, people doing gig apps, all that. And so when I was researching the cargo van business on YouTube, I was focused on OTR. That's all I kind of knew. I knew that was where the money's at. Everyone's saying, oh man, if you do OTR, you got to be on the road for three weeks at a time, but you can make thousands of dollars. So that's all I was focused on. So in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm not going to buy a $5,000 van to, for that type of work. Cause you don't want to have your van in the shop every week, So I'm like, okay, how can I get a newer van and not, break myself? So what I did is I started saving and I was putting money to the side. I really controlled my spending and I ended up saving $15,000 in 1 year. So I
And
had
that's some sleep
15,000.
number.
Yeah, just putting money to the side.
Got it.
So I really controlled my spending. Kids didn't like that year. We didn't have a lot of fun, but I was like, trust me, kids, it's gonna pay off.
No more Netflix this month.
Yep.
No
Oh,
more.
yep. All that. Don't do video games, nothing. So so yeah, I saved $15,000. And then I actually started a GoFundMe page, which was an idea that somebody gave me.
Ah,
So I did that, and I only had it up for 2 months. I raised $5,000 with that.
that's a huge
So
accomplishment.
I
That's
know it is.
crazy.
In 2 months, that was crazy,
Wow.
and I recommend that to people. So I had $20,000. So during that year that I was researching this, I was kind of fighting for benefits as well. And this is something that is very important people to understand. I have a huge advantage over some people.
Mm-hmm.
So I was fighting for benefits for me, and I got the benefits I deserve. So basically, I was getting like $1,000 passive income through the military. So that allowed me to look at more expensive vans.
Mm-hmm.
So the van that I purchased was $49,000.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a 2020 Ford Transit. I almost bought a brand new one, but I really fell in love with the one that I got. It only had 20,000 miles on it. So based on my new passive income, that's the reason why I purchased the van I did. So yeah, if it was not for that passive income, I would not have bought that van. So a lot of people think like, man, you're wasting your money. You're spending $600 a month on your van and this much on insurance, but I can afford it. So that's the whole reason. Yeah.
So a lot of your money that you were able total, you had how much did you say you had total that
So I had
you
20,000. I was gonna buy a van around $20,000.
and
That
then
was my
how
original
much
plan.
cash did you have? Like from all
Well,
you saved up from the GoFundMe to the savings to like, did you break
well,
even? Did you break even with that van? That's what I'm trying to ask.
no, I didn't break even.
Okay. Okay. So I was
Yeah,
gonna ask you about when it comes to like insurance and all these other things that you gotta have to tackle into that, right? I'm sure that also gets expensive, right? Getting, like getting
yeah,
plates on your vehicle and there's a lot of people that's watching this video that is not yet in this industry, right? So they don't really know the qualifications to even go into that, right? They say, I have a van, what else do I need, right? But I'm sure
right.
there's hidden expenses, right? That it's not just the van, probably, right? I mean, I'm guessing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Just equipment alone, like just getting the van ready to do OTR, because that's what I was preparing for. I wanted to do
Mm-hmm.
OTR.
Mm-hmm.
So just all the equipment, that was like $5,000 in itself, like just
Wow.
getting everything. Yeah. So, and then your insurance, you have to put a down payment, and that fluctuates. It could be 1,500, it could be $2,000 down. It's a lot of expenses to get started. And I had recommended $20,000 to start. That was my
So
recommendation.
that's the magic number, $20,000 to start this
That's
kind of business.
that's my based on my experience. I think 20,000 is enough to start.
And that was still in the process, the window of that 1 year before you actually started doing your first gig.
Correct. So yeah. So originally, I had signed up with a company that was going to get me loads to do OTR, and that I had to have $1 million policy, which
Mm,
that's kind of like the standard. Like you can't
yeah.
get less than that. So you're going to be spending about $1,100 a month just on insurance. That's not
Insurance
even
kills a lot of transportation companies
big
for
time.
sure. Yeah.
Right. So I had the money to start, but I'm thinking, okay, I'm about to go hard at this. I'm gonna go like 3 weeks. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry, babe, but I gotta be on the road for 3 weeks. I'm gonna come back with a lot of money. And the first 2 weeks, it was just a nightmare. Like I just could not win a load. They sent me loads and I bidded on them and I just could not win anything.
Mm.
And that kind of discouraged me because I heard the horror stories on YouTube and of people that, even if they win a load, they'll go, to wherever, California, whatever, and then they're stuck there for, two,
Yeah.
three
What do they call?
days
What do
trying
they
to get
call
out of
that?
there.
It's like dead. Dead. Is that like no?
Well,
That's not. What is it
yeah,
called? What is it
deadhead
called?
is, oh,
Oh,
good.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was say deadhead is when you're driving back with nothing, no load. So
Got
you're
it.
just wasting gas and money.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah. So
But
you want to,
a lot.
oh, go ahead.
Oh no, no. But you're saying that a lot of the time, another issue is you get a load, you transport it somewhere, and then there's no load to wherever you have to go next. You're just stuck there,
Yeah,
basically.
you're trying to avoid deadheading back. So you want to
Mm,
get a load out of there so that you kind of double dip. Because the expense is just gas, and sometimes you got to stay at a hotel, all that stuff.
yeah.
Like so I got discouraged really quick. I only tried it for about 3 weeks, And
what issue did you run into? I mean, you ran into the getting the loads back, but did you have to run into like other issues along that way too, or?
well, no, well, that's the thing. I never won a load. Like I was trying to get a load for
Oh,
3 weeks straight, and I
wow.
never got one. So that was like I'm not comfortable knowing that. Like, what if I do win a load and I take it to wherever, and I can't get a load back? Like I don't want to be stuck somewhere for 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
it was very like I'm like I don't know if I could do this. It's not
Yeah,
comfortable.
and being a new like owner at the time, and then knowing how much you invested in there, and then running into that kind of like that pitfall. I can sure a lot of things probably ran through your mind, like I invested all this money, it's not all it cracked up to be.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do? I promise,
Right.
my family. Like I'm sure you had a lot of thoughts going through your mind at that time.
Oh, absolutely. And I had enough money to cover that $1 million policy, which I was not a fan of. And I'm like, I can only pay for it like 2 months. If I don't make money, I got to do something else. Like this ain't gonna work.
Got it.
So yeah. So
So what in the cargo van industry, what you're doing now,
mhm.
what type of products are you hauling usually?
So before I get to that, let me just get to how I got on gig apps.
Got it, got it.
So so obviously I was struggling with the OTR thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept searching YouTube, and I came across um I'm not gonna say who. Well, actually, I can say who it is because I'm cool with them. So, Cars and Cribs, one of the most popular YouTube channels. I don't know if you've seen that one, but he introduced me to gig apps,
Mm,
and that's basically, it's basically like Uber, DoorDash, Grubhub, but for a cargo van.
got
So
it.
you get the app, you could run loads with a gig app basically. So he when
Not
oh
mean to
good
cut you. Not mean to cut you off, CJ. But
yeah
what's the difference between a gig app and then just a regular with that board or a low board? Right? It's the same scenario, right?
yeah, so load boards are more for it's like used for OTR pretty
Right,
much.
right. But
So
I'm saying
yeah,
just the concept. Isn't that just basically the same thing?
it's similar, but the gig app is run by a company that has contracts with different businesses. So like Lowe's will have a contract with like one of the apps I use is Dispatch. And they basically contract and say, hey, we'll send you independent contractor to run this
Yeah. So
load
so
to a
the gig app
customer.
is just the broker.
Pretty much. I guess you can explain it like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So like
But load boards you have to pay for. Like it's a subscription.
mm,
Yeah.
got it.
It's a subscription. It's not free. And you could book it yourself or you can have a broker book loads for you. But um yeah, it's pretty it's the same idea concept, but
Mm-hmm.
the gig app is like once you sign up, you're just a independent contractor available for whatever
Got
comes
it.
through your
You work
phone.
on your own
Yeah,
hour at that point. Just
exactly.
hit the on button and then you have
Yep.
gigs kind of waiting for you.
Yeah, if something, yeah, they'll send a job to you and you accept it or deny it, pretty much.
Okay. So when the contrast between always having loads, is there always loads on there, or is it ever some, how does the loads look on these gig apps?
Yeah, so it's hit and miss. It depends on where you're at. Every market is different. For
Mm-hmm.
me, my market is busy enough where I can make a living off it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't my finances, like the cost of living where I am
Mm-hmm.
is not the same as somebody in California. So
Mm-hmm.
I only have to make $200 a day and
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. Somebody else might have to make $500 a day. The gig app may not be the right choice or route to go,
Mm-hmm.
when you live somewhere like that. So as far as like the loads, it's hit and miss. Like there's some days where you get one job, there's some days you'll get, 5 or 6 jobs. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of I wouldn't say risky, but you really got to know your market basically.
So, what do you say to the people that are trying to get trying to get in the industry, or they're in the industry and they're kind of like struggling with kind of like what you said on the OTR, right? They hard to get trips and stuff like that, but they have this like this ego or not ego, but they're not really looking at like gig apps and stuff like that. Do you have anything to say to those kind of people? Like I think I think what you're doing is a great step, right? Into getting into this business and stuff like that. So do you have any kind of like things to say to people like that, like that's getting into this industry about the gig apps? Do you understand what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say?
yeah. So I mean, gig apps is kind of like, if for me, I like to. I don't want to work 8 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of allows you to make money faster.
Mm-hmm.
So you could work 3 hours a day. You could stay local. You don't have to go out of state. You know, you stay in your town. I stay in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you could do it part-time, you could do it full-time. So you have a lot of leeway with the gig app.
Mm-hmm.
The other route that a lot of people go, they'll get a contract, and that's more like confirmed steady work.
Mm.
It's almost like a 9 to 5. So you'll get a contract, and you know you're working Monday through Friday, and you're making X amount of money, but you're kind of locked into those hours that you have to work. So
But I guess what I'm stuck on is how do people that's trying to get into this industry, when they think, okay, if I can become an Uber driver, like an Uber driver, you know, if I'm an Uber driver, I'm not Ryan Son LLC, you know, like I'm a contractor for Uber, right? So
yeah.
for the gig economy, right, what you're doing, um, how can you start your own business, getting these gigs and stuff like that? Kind of break that down of how you're
Oh,
you're,
oh
you're
yes.
working up, breaking, starting your own business while getting these gigs. That's kind of what I want to break down.
Oh, okay, yeah. So really, I mean, you don't have to have a business to work the gig at. Like,
No,
if
no,
you
but
own a
how is it
cargo.
working for
Oh,
you though? Like I think, like, how is it working for you? Because I think what you're doing is amazing. Like, but break it down how you're starting your own business while doing the
oh,
gig at. Do you understand
oh,
what
I
I'm trying
see.
to ask?
I got what you're saying. So basically, my personal goal is to build a fleet. I'm trying to build my fleet,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately, I have two right now. You know, everything changes sometimes, but right now, I'm focused on buying at least one or two more vans. I
Mm-hmm.
want one to go over the road, and I want one to stay local.
Mm-hmm.
So my personal goal is, while I'm doing gig apps, and that's just to sustain me,
Mm-hmm.
while I'm building my business, networking with businesses and all that. I want a contract that will give me work
Mm-hmm.
locally,
Mm-hmm.
so that I can hire a driver to do that route, and then also have another vehicle that will go OTR.
I
So I
love
have a
that. I
yeah.
love
So
that.
basically, I want to be a fleet owner. That's basically the goal.
I love it. So for everybody watching, I think like that's what I really loved about, CJ, of, he had this very specific strategy. And so a lot, like I said, like a lot of people, they look at like all these different things, like these resources. I call them resources, right? Because that's what they are, right? They're at our fingertips, right?
Yeah,
And some people, they turn their nose up at one thing, or they just don't want to take these opportunities that's at our fingertips. But we can use them as tools, right, to get up and running and started, to take us to
absolutely.
the next step, right? Because I think that's very important. A lot of people, they're trying to just go from 0 to 100. They're trying to just have that 10 fleet, like 10 fleet overnight. That's just not practical. That's just
It's
not
not
practical.
practical. Yep,
So I think, starting, like on gig apps and learning that way and building up your clientele and making money that way, and then getting these contracts, like just work your way up like that
I'm
way.
actually I'm actually glad you said that, because the gig app also gets you out there. Like, you're exposed to so many different businesses, and like I've met so many people just being out there. So it allows me to
Mm,
come in contact with so many owners and people that can help me. Then I talk to them, and they understand my goal, and I have some connect. I'm trying to save this for my channel, but I have connections of people that they want to help me build. You
I
know,
love it.
so
I love it.
it's very I fell in love with the gig app because it gives me my freedom, but at the same time I'm able to make the money I need, to sustain. So it's hard to walk away from it. Like, like, I want to do this full time, but ultimately I got to stay focused on my ultimate goal is to be a fleet owner.
Do you hand out business cards when you go to drop off like different loads and stuff like that? How do you keep your name in their minds? I'm sure you have
Yeah,
your name on your vehicle or something like that, but
I actually don't. Not
ah,
not yet. I'm working on a website right now.
okay.
I have not really been handing out business cards. It's more
Mm-hmm.
word of mouth right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm just basically I'm trying to, since I'm just a one man operation, I don't want to
Okay.
promote too much because I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to overwhelm myself with too
Sure.
much work, because it's just me.
Mm-hmm.
But absolutely, like, that's there's a lot of people that do hand out their business card. You can get work like that as well, very easy.
Exactly. Kind of
Yep.
utilize the gig economy's market, right? To kind of
Hmm.
market yourself, right? And then kind of
Yep.
it's like bootstrapping yourself. So yeah, so like going back to like what type of like ideal loads that you're normally hauling, like what are you normally like carrying?
So our biggest client where I am is PPG and Sherwin-Williams. That's
Mm-hmm.
the paint companies.
Mm-hmm.
So majority of our loads are going to be those. And then I also work. There's a couple. I do several gig apps, but um, living spaces, delivering furniture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, I pretty much can haul anything.
Mm-hmm.
Tires. Um, we even do. There's another app where you can work. You could do like moves, like people moving out of the apartment, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just whatever fits in there, I'm taking it.
Awesome.
So,
So, can you use your personal vehicle for something like this? Like, or do you have to have a specific kind of van? Um,
well, I mean,
you say you have
whatever.
a four-door sedan. Can you
Oh
start
yeah,
hauling?
absolutely.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you don't need a
yeah.
specific kind of vehicle.
No, yeah. Whatever vehicle you have, you can use a car all the way up to a box truck. Um, but yeah, I mean, obviously, the bigger the vehicle, the bigger the load, the more the money it'll be, the bigger the pay.
So the smaller vehicles are kind of limited. It's probably more like saturated too. I would guess, right, for vehicles because everybody has a vehicle. Everybody doesn't have a van. I'm guessing. That's just my guess.
I haven't really seen. I know a lot of people complain about that, but
Mm-hmm.
I know that a lot of these companies they control the market, so they
Mm-hmm.
don't oversaturate with too many drivers.
Mm-hmm.
So like, there's a couple I'm trying to get on. I'm on the waiting list because they have enough drivers. So I haven't really experienced that, but I mean, there's work for everyone. If you got a car, you can get orders, SUV, pickup truck, whatever you got, you can get loads. You can make money.
Awesome. So on a good day, break this down for me. What is the earnings on a good day? What are people expected to make, in this kind of business on a good day?
Referring to gig apps or
Yes,
just,
exactly what
oh
you're
yeah.
doing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So for me, I mean, my highest earning is only 402, which
Mm-hmm.
is not like incredibly, crazy. But I mean, I've seen people make $600-700 a day on gig
Mm-hmm.
apps. Some people make $800. It really all depends on where you're at and how long you work, how busy your market is.
Well, how many hours is that? 402. How many hours is that?
Well, that day, the day I made 402, I only worked like 5 hours. But I mean,
Wow.
I had like 4 jobs that were like paying $100. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when you make $100 per order, your earnings grow pretty fast.
Got
So
it.
yeah.
So, is it expensive to run this kind of business? Because I would guess, like running with, making 402, 5 hours, but you're probably, dealing with gas and maybe like, maybe like a vehicle malfunction, like is the cost of operation, because does that kind of balance everything out where it's, like,
So yeah, so I'm glad you said that too, because it really, the planning is most important. So if I knew that I was going to be doing gig apps right now, I wouldn't have
mm-hmm.
bought the van that I have. So that
Mm,
van that I bought for $49,000, I bought that to do OTR. I didn't buy that to do gig apps. So if I could start over, I would have bought $15,000 to $20,000 van.
mm,
That would definitely, because I could have paid cash for it. I would have had no loan payment. And also, you don't technically have to have commercial insurance. I recommend it, but you can actually just have regular insurance. That would save
mm-hmm.
you money as well. So as far as the expenses, I don't have an issue with it. I mean, I literally, because I have a newer van, I mean, oil changes, what, every, 3-4 months. Um, haven't had any mechanical problems. Gas for me is only about $50 to fill it up,
I mean, I'm
50,
sure you must go through
$55.
like tires pretty often though, too, right? Like
No, no,
tires or
I'm local. So I drive probably about 120 miles a day, somewhere around there.
oh, I
Yeah, so
see, I
I'm
see.
not, yeah,
So like so the profit margins are pretty like decent for you, right? With the 400, the
absolutely.
400. Wow, wow.
So actually, my last video, I had an order where I could have drove 320 miles to
Mm-hmm.
make, I think, a little like 300 something dollars, $360 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I decided to decline that and stay local. So
Mm-hmm.
that day I drove like 115 miles and I almost made $300. I made 297. So I just prevented so much wear and tear and gas by staying local. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I love about the gig app is, like you're, I think you prolong the life of your van and you can sustain it longer by doing the gig app rather than, over the road. These guys are driving, you know,
Yeah,
1,200 miles. Yeah,
long distances. Yeah, for sure, for
exactly.
sure. And they're hauling like very like like heavier
Yep.
equipment a lot of times.
2,000, 3,000 pounds. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Their insurance must be like, whew. You
Well,
know what I
they have.
mean?
I think they have to have that $1 million policy, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not cheap.
Yeah. How's the competition though? Like, is it very competitive in this industry, or is there still like a lot of because like you just mentioned, that you see, like when you got started, you seen a lot of people that were, like opening doors and then closing doors, so um like how's the competition? Is there still, a lot of opportunity out there? Is it kind of getting, kind of harder? Um, what do you think?
That's a good question. I mean, honestly, I can only speak from where I'm at in my
Mm-hmm.
experience. I don't see competition. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's like I said, it's enough work out there for everyone. Some people don't agree with that, but I don't live in other. I only know what I know from based on where I live.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the other competition out here, I don't even look at them as competition. I actually I like talking to other drivers and learning what they do to make money because it I don't know, a lot of people don't agree with this, but I look at us as a team. Like I don't look at another driver as competition. I feel like I said, it's enough work out there for everyone. So I'm not saying partnering up with another driver, but you can learn. There's something I can give to that driver, and there's something they can give to me. I actually got a contract. I got a contract route. It's a small one. I do on Mondays and Thursdays. I work. You heard of Dillard's, right? The at the
Dealers,
mall, Dillard's.
Dillards, yeah, yeah, I've heard of
Yeah,
Dillards, yeah.
Dillard's, the suits. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
contract with them
Mm-hmm.
through a company called Jump Logistics.
Mm-hmm.
It only pays $50. It's just a 1 hour route, but I deliver suits to 3 different malls. And I got that contract by talking to another driver. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when he was loading up, I could have just sat in my van and didn't say nothing to him. Like, oh, that's competition. I ain't saying nothing to him. But I introduced myself. I was curious to know what is he doing to make money? And I ended up getting a contract from him. He gave that to me.
Wow. So like what motivates people to share routes? Is it they're just overbooked? Um
Well, I think in that situation, he got offered that job, but he
mm-hmm,
wasn't able to do it based
mm-hmm,
on his schedule. And
mm-hmm.
so here's another driver. Oh, maybe he could do it.
And then that's where the networking and the connection comes into play where you can just
Pretty
refer
much.
someone and then you just pick it
Exactly.
up. Wow.
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
then it's just like so it's like that solid networking effect. And like I said, people are mentioning your name, all over YouTube, So like networking, it goes back to that, it's very powerful, in this kind of industry, it seems.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I learned from everybody. Like I would not have that van right now if it wasn't for YouTube. Like I
Wow.
learned everything off of YouTube.
That's amazing. That's
Every,
amazing.
yeah, I didn't even know what like all the terminology, OTR and FMCSA and like all these terms. I didn't know what that stuff was. I learned everything on YouTube. Yeah.
Um, so what's the best way to find these loads? I know you mentioned like apps and different websites, and then private pay contracts. So we of course we mentioned word of mouth, right? But like what's some specific like apps? I know you mentioned I think you said Dispatch is the one, is an
Yeah.
application.
Yeah.
But what's some other ones? Some top ones.
So I use right now, I use Dispatch,
Mm-hmm.
Freight,
Mm-hmm.
Dolly,
Mm-hmm.
GoShare,
Mm-hmm.
and Curry, which
Okay.
I actually just got signed up with that one. That one's pretty popular. Um, and I also have a catering app where I deliver food called Delivered.
I see.
Um, and most of the people that's watching this, they're familiar with these
Mm-hmm.
apps. I'm pretty sure most of them are, but um, yeah, I highly recommend like sign up for as many as you can. If you're gonna do what I'm doing, you got to sign up for everything. You cannot rely on just one gig app. You got to
Would you
have.
say, would you say most people that's getting into the gig economy, and the sprinter van industry, they're um they're preparing themselves to start, like a conglomerate company? Is that normally the motivation behind doing this kind of work?
You said for what? I'm sorry, you cut out.
Oh, so for the majority of people that's getting into the sprinter van gig economy, are
Oh, okay.
most of their ambition and dreams to start a conglomerate, cargo van company? Is that most of their dreams that
Uh,
you've been seeing on like the YouTube space and on your channel? Is that kind of what you're seeing?
I don't know. I know honestly, that's a tough question because I know majority of people that I know, they either want to do OTR or gig apps. That's kind of like the two most popular.
Mm-hmm.
I think the contracts is kind of it's good to have a contract, but a lot of people um are not anxious to get one because it kind of takes, well, I don't like to say it takes your freedom away, but you're I don't know how to explain it. Like you're kind of are you saying like if I start my own delivery service
Well,
or
just from what you've seen from your viewers, are they just like, hey, I want to get into this business because X, Y, and Z, because I want to start, like a monopoly, cargo van business. Do you think that's kind of the objective behind a lot of people that's joining these apps?
mm,
Because
I'm
it
not
seems like that's your goal, right? Your goal is to, start, doing gig economy, right? Applications to start, a bigger, company down the road, right?
yeah, I think
Um,
that's yeah, I think that's a great way to start.
mhm.
And like I said, I'm doing it only to sustain me because it allows me to give my family time. I don't have to work a lot of hours. I make the money I need, but behind the scenes, I'm working hard to build my business. So I'm making connections. I'm sending my resume to different companies. I'm attending training and classes like about fleet owners. I'm learning everything I need to know so that once I buy my next vehicle, bam, I can get that contract and get a driver in it and just build from there.
And
So
you're
basically,
already.
once the first vehicle I get,
Mhm.
I'm putting a driver in it and I'm working on the next one. Like that's my goal.
I love
Just
it.
build that fleet up. Yeah.
You ever seen the
So
movie Nightcrawler
that
with Jake
sounds, is that a
Gyllenhaal?
scary movie? Well,
Nah,
who?
nah, with Jake Gyllenhaal.
I don't think I've seen that. I don't.
It's like it's a good movie. It's a good movie. It's about a cameraman, but he kind of has this kind of same mentality where he, you see from where he goes from like, one stage, of like, just one, like this vehicle, and then he kind of like, he puts another, he goes through all these like trials and tribulations to like, get a better vehicle, to like, at the end of the movie, he gets like, a big, fleet. But everything you're saying, it reminds me of
Okay.
that kind of like structure, like everything
Got
you're
you.
saying. It's a good movie. I
Yeah,
think you should check it out. You should check it out.
I will. Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler. Yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna watch that tonight.
yeah. You'll like it. You'll like it. So,
Okay.
what's some drawbacks of this industry? I'm sure there's a ton of drawbacks. Um, I know like in some of your videos on your YouTube channel, you talk about, like there's, weather, issues and like it kind of ruins the day, things like that. Maybe some slow days. I mean, we already kind of discussed that, but I'm sure there must be drawbacks in starting this kind of business. But what do you think? I mean, it could be
Um,
like just spending time away from the family. I don't know. You say you're not spending that many hours in it, but maybe over time, maybe that will be a issue. When you do like if you do OTR or something like that. But what's
right.
some drawbacks that you see?
Um, so yeah, definitely. I think leaving the security of your 9 to 5 and just starting this, like just going all in, is scary. I ain't gonna lie,
Mm.
it's scary. Like, cause you have to deal with a lot. It's not only, I mean, obviously your bills ain't gonna stop coming. So, if you do say do the gig app route, um, and say there's been days where I didn't make any money. I made maybe $100, like 2 or 3 days straight.
Mhm.
That's nerve wracking. Like, so my thing is you got to have a backup plan. You got to have a plan B. And my plan B is I have a Chevy Sonic. I get in that car and I go make whatever I need to make $200 a day. If I made $150 that day, I'll get in my car that night and I'll deliver some food and I'll make my 200.
Mhm.
So that's kind of like my contingency plan. So I think the biggest drawback is so obviously you got to have, you're on your own now. You're completely on your own. You got to get your own medical, dental. You if you don't work that day, there's no money coming in. Like there's no more paid, sick time and all that. Like you got to think about all that. So mentally, it could be tough, especially when it's slow.
Mhm.
And if you don't plan it right, like if you buy a van that's too expensive and you're thinking like, oh, I need to make X amount of money, but you're not making that, like those bills ain't gonna stop coming, you know. So I've seen people that have, you know, purchased the vehicle and they're not making the money they need, and you know, they end up back at their 9 to 5. So I think mentally you just really got to be prepared. Like you gotta plan everything out. I went through all my expenses, so I know exactly how much I need every day, every week, every month. I planned it all out. So you know, when people say, "Oh, you know, you're not making enough money," I am making enough money. I know how much I need to make, and the gig apps allow me to do that. So,
Now, as a solo founder of your company, um, do you go through like a lot of like anxiety, in starting this company? Because when you're a solo founder, I mean, of course you have your family and friends to talk to, but they're not like they're not woven into the business, right? So there's certain things that they're not really going to understand unless they're a co-founder and going through those motions with you. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
So as a solo founder, as a CEO of your company, like, do you have those moments of anxiety? Maybe it's not making enough money, or that day, or how does it feel as a solo founder? Kind of
Yeah,
let
I'm
people
not
know
gonna.
the real emotions that you feel. I'm sure there's like
Right.
stages of emotions.
Oh yeah, no, and I share it too. I share it. I've even posted a video of a day where I was like, man, like this is rough. Like this is tough. Like I haven't made no money all this week,
Hmm.
and you know, I don't want to get in my car every day to make up. Like I want my van to be my main source of income.
Hmm.
And so I'm not gonna lie, like there's times where you're like, man, did I really make the right decision? Like man, this, you know, it's not easy. But it's like I'm so hungry that I feel like no obstacle is gonna stop me. So um thankfully, like I am the founder and I kind of came up with this idea myself, but I do have a wife and she is 100% supportive, and she helps me not only financially because she does gig apps too,
Hmm.
but emotionally as well. Like she keeps me going. Like she tells me what I need to hear. Like you're doing great. I'm so proud of you. All that stuff. Like I need to hear that because if I was single, some of those days that it's rough.
Some dark days.
It get yeah it
It'll
gets
be some
I
dark
ain't gonna lie,
days.
it gets scary because it's like I don't have. Well, I'm not gonna talk about all my finances, but it's like there's days where all the apps are just quiet. It's like, man, what's
Yeah,
going on?
exactly. And I feel, when an entrepreneur, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this video, they can probably relate to this, when you
Yeah.
don't have that safety blanket of that 9 to 5, you know what I mean? And then
Mm-hmm.
you have to, you realize that, you know, if you're not making any money that day, you can't eat, you know what I mean?
Pretty
So
much.
anxiety can probably go through the roof, you know what I mean? And you're just
Yeah.
um, but I think that's one thing, when you talk about like networking, I think that's, going back to networking a little bit, I think that's another benefit to networking is not just finding business to each other, but it's that support system,
Yeah.
meeting other people that's going through similar stages that you're going through that you can kind of relate to, and
Absolutely.
talking it through, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Because as an entrepreneur, it's a tough road. I mean, I've been down that road many, many times. I can't even like express how many times I've been down that road.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started my first company. I started my first company was a cryptocurrency company. That was in the early stages. It was called what was it called? I forgot even the name. I think it was like Vice, something like that. But yeah, I moved out to like San Francisco, started the company, like talking to investors. Like anxiety is just like you
I
know
can
what I mean?
imagine. Yep.
So that's the thing, right? That's the thing. I think, like having those people to talk to, I think it makes a great difference, you know what I mean? Of like, people that can kind of relate to you. And
Yeah.
sometimes friends and family, they just don't understand, you know what I mean? Even though they want to understand, they want to support you, it's just certain things that they just can't understand, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because, it's like you're fighting a war, by yourself. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like you're fighting a war
No,
by
I got you.
yourself, but even though they're kind of they're on your team, or you're like fighting for them, but they're not on the front lines with you. Do you understand what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So
No, I understand exactly what you're saying.
yeah,
Yep.
so I think that's one thing that I want like a lot of entrepreneurs to, that's watching this video to understand. You're not alone. You're not alone, and we all feel these emotions. When starting these companies, and it gets better. It definitely gets better.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think it gets
I
better?
I think so, and I'm kind of glad you mentioned that about yourself because when I work 9 to 5, I noticed that my train of thought is not the way it is now. Like it's totally different. So like I know, yeah, I bought a cargo van to start a cargo van business, but I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not just a cargo van owner. And like I feel like you have to think like that. Like you can't just put all your eggs in one basket. Like I'm free from that schedule, so I can do whatever I want. Like I can make money however I want. And that's kind of like the freedom and joy that I get out of this. It's like, man, I actually got time to. I'm trying to do a Amazon FBA account right now. Like, I would never have time to, sit down for 4 hours and study that business. So, yeah, man, it's exciting. Like, I can't even sleep at night. Like, I'll be like, man, I cannot wait to get back in my van
I love
and
it.
make some money.
I love it. So CJ, so what advice do you have for people that's out there, that's trying to get into this industry? They're seeing your videos, they see this interview, and they're just like, you know what, like everything sounds, interesting. I want to get into this industry, or like people that's in this industry and they're looking at, like scaling their business. What advice do you have for them?
Well, for the first one, if you want to get started, just based on my experience, that's all I can speak on. I would say you definitely like I can't stress this enough. You gotta plan it out. You gotta plan it out and you gotta like I feel like because a lot of people ask me, should I do it part-time? Or like I'm like, no, you gotta be all in. So you're either all in or like I feel like I don't know how you're gonna make it if you're not all in. So mentally and physically, like you gotta just quit the job and do it. So my best advice for newcomers is know your finances, definitely buy a vehicle like that you can afford. So you got to know all your expenses and know that it's going to be rough. Like it's not going to be easy unless because like I said, it's 3 different roles you could take. You could do the contract, you could do gig apps, you could do OTR. So there's 3 different train of thoughts for all of those. There's 3 different vehicles you need for those. Now, if you do OTR, I would say get a newer vehicle, a bigger one, all that stuff. You do gig apps, you don't have to have a brand new vehicle. Like you can get a cheaper one. Um, you don't have to pay for all that insurance, all that stuff. Contract, that's like a 9 to 5 again. So it's like, you just got to study, research, um, know your market, and know your finances, and have a plan B. You're like, because if your van breaks down, how are you gonna make money? Like you got to think about everything. Like so, I mean, really, honestly, and people that's already in this industry, I mean, I'm just a rookie. I'm still learning myself, but I'm never satisfied. Like I can never. I feel like I'm never gonna be satisfied either. Like I want to continue to grow. Like like right now, I'm not really focused on money right now. I'm focused on building my business, but I feel like I can't go a day without doing something to try to build my business. So whether it's on the computer researching, updating my resume, like I'm constantly trying to build. Like and that's what I would say to other people. Like you don't be satisfied where you're at. Like keep going up. Like keep going up. So I mean really that's the best advice I can give right now because I'm still new. I'm still a rookie.
No, I think that's great advice. That's really great advice. Um, so where do you expect Pitman Cargo Express to be in the next year or two?
Ooh,
Where do
next
you like
year
to
or two.
see? Yeah, where do you like to see your company?
Uh well, like I said, once I get that. I'm focused on paying off this vehicle.
Hmm.
Once I get that second vehicle, because yeah, once I get that second vehicle, I see that vehicle with my company name on it,
Hmm.
working for a company with a dedicated route
Hmm.
that I could put a driver in, and that's just, you know, you're gonna see that van all everywhere, all up and down. the
On the
US.
street, 24/7, just on the street, right?
All everywhere,
I
yep.
love it.
And that, I mean, that's my goal right now. Um, yeah, so yeah, within a year or two, I think that will happen. That's what I'm working towards. I just want to get that second. I feel like once I get that second vehicle, my mind is gonna blow it. Like I'm gonna be like, man, I got two vans. Like I can't even express it. Like I can't wait for that day. But yeah,
So,
that's y'all go ahead.
oh no, I was gonna say like, do you have like a timeline on that day? Like 2 months, 3 months, 6 months,
Oh,
or it's all in the air right now?
it's kind of in the air. I mean, I'm thinking, I'm hoping by next year, but
Mhm.
it all depends. I mean, I'm trying to build my business credit, so like it's a lot of. I really right now. I think before I can get that next van, I need to pay this one off, and then I need to get a more consistent work. Like I can't just do gig app. Like I need to land something that's more consistent, that'll bring in a little bit more money consistently, that will help me buy that second van faster.
Mhm.
So I mean, I'm not like racing to do it,
Mhm.
but I am in a hurry. Like I feel like that's what's really gonna just like help me, like, man, like, wow, I did it and I did it in this amount of time. Okay, now I know exactly what I need to do. So yeah, I can't really put a timeline on it, but within 2 years.
Within 2 years? Okay. No,
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. Like it sounds very exciting, especially, I think at some point, like that we all see, after we get to a certain stage, we just see like a
Yeah.
takeoff, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then it's just like, like what am I doing, but it's very exciting. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything that you have coming up that you want everybody to know? Like I don't know if you're hiring someone to manage your stuff. Do you have any events coming up, anything like consultation services, anything that
I
you guys
thought,
going on?
yeah, I thought about that. I don't know. I feel like well, as far as like consultation stuff, I feel like I'm still like, it's so much that I need to learn. Like I really want to know what I'm talking about
Mm-hmm.
uh before I get into that area. But um not really, man. Really, I want to surprise my subscribers because I've been working hard like behind the scenes. Like some people, I think one person said I'm lazy because I only work 3 hours a day, but the work don't like I work 3 hours in my van, but that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean I'm not working. Like when I get home, I'm still working.
Exactly.
And yeah, so I'm on the computer working hard. I'm still studying YouTube videos, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I work at night too. I work in my other car. So I probably work too much, to be honest. Like what they see is not, reality. So, um, but yeah, I mean, I don't have nothing really to add other than the only thing I do want to make very clear is that every situation and every journey is different. So my situation, I noticed that a lot of people will come to my channel and they'll watch a video, and it could be a day I made $150.
Mm-hmm.
And in their eyes, they might live in California where they need to make $600 a day.
Yeah.
So they're like, man, this cargo van stuff ain't, that ain't gonna work for me. And they don't understand that, my situation is not their situation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm simply showing you, hey, I left my job and I'm making a living off my van. I'm just showing you it's possible. Like you could do it. That's all I want to show them. I'm not trying to impress nobody with earnings. I'm not, like there's, they'll say, oh, you didn't make enough money and all that stuff. Like I know how much money I need to make. So I'm just showing you, you can do it. Like I left my job, I quit. I was scared as heck, but I did it. I got my van and I'm making money with my van. Like that's like, to me, that's the most amazing thing. Like I'm just driving and I'm like, man, I just made $100 in 1 hour.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like this is the best investment ever.
I mean, I think it's an accomplishment anytime you're doing it rather than just like saying you're going to do it. Right? You
Yeah,
have become a
exactly.
practitioner rather than just an
Man.
idealist.
Yep,
And
exactly.
there's a lot of people that just stay stuck in that ideal phase, or they're afraid to rip off the band-aid.
Uh-huh. That's
So
it.
everything you're doing is definitely it's amazing. Like I think what you're doing is great. I love how you have that like solid like plan, that that business plan going, and I can't wait to see your success along the way.
Oh, I hope so.
So for everybody watching, that want to get in contact with you, they want to follow your journey. Where can they contact you?
Yeah, so I do have my email on there, which you have what is
For
my
everybody
email?
watching,
I
he's
know
talking
it's
about his YouTube
long.
channel. We'll pin his YouTube channel in the description.
Oh, oh yeah. It's
Yeah.
just Big CJ Cargo Van.
Okay.
So yeah, easy to
Yeah.
find. And then yeah, I could be emailed. It's on my description page, and also on my community page. I don't use my community page to like update things, but I put a lot of information in there about my van, about my business, and about the gig apps that I do. So a lot of people, they'll watch one video and they'll keep asking me the same question. So I actually put it in the community page.
I like that.
Ton of
Almost like
information.
you're using it as an FAQ page, like frequently asked questions page.
Exactly.
I like that.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yep.
Like it's almost like you're saving time, optimizing time too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind answering them, but when you get 100 of the same questions, it's like it's kind of hard to respond to all those.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a lot of great insight, like during this interview. I mean, I thank you so much for sitting down with me, and I hope you guys all, like learned a lot of things from this interview. And feel free to reach out to CJ. We're gonna pin his YouTube channel in the description of this video. And as he mentioned, you can find. We're also gonna pin his email address, or no, maybe it'd be better if okay, his email address is gonna be located in the description or the about section of his YouTube channel. We don't want to like dox him or anything like that. So we're just gonna like
That's cool.
put his YouTube channel in the description of the video. So be sure to check that out because he has a lot of great insight on there. He breaks down everything from how much he made the current day, to trials and tribulations that he's facing of the day, his frustrations. I mean, he's just very transparent. So you're gonna learn a lot. And like you mentioned prior, also, everyone has a different journey. And with that being said, you must look at it in a sense of use it as not necessarily a skeleton for your own journey, but use it as I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I feel like I had it in my mind, but now I'm kind of lost. But use it as information, right? Use it as information of just how to apply it to your own journey. So what I'm trying to say basically is your journey is going to be different from CJ's, and CJ's journey is going to be different from the next person. So just apply that knowledge to your own journey, and you too will be successful. Is there anything else you want to add, CJ?
I just want to make sure anybody that does go to my channel, just know that I'm literally documenting my journey. That's it. I'm not trying to impress you. I'm not trying to, make promises to you and, oh, this cargo van is so great. I'm just documenting my journey. That's it. So if I fail, you'll know about it. If I make it, you'll know about it. That's it.
Awesome. That's what we love to hear. We love the transparency,
Yes,
knowledge is power, so hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.